But so payer negotiations is part of something you have to be aware of and try and do. It's not that easy. It's not that simple. It's not that simple either your primary care physicians or specialty practice. What we're seeing is currently have insurers like Aetna, and everybody loves Aetna. Everybody really loves them. They haven't increased fees per CPT code for a number of years. Just haven't. And their attitude is take it or leave it. Either you're part of us, you don't want us, you don't want to be part of us, fine. We'll see you around, and you try and survive without us. It's very difficult to do. Now the problem is, if you don't get an increase, and you haven't, for say 3 years, a 3-year period, you're going to be, the practice loses about 10% of the revenue associated with what you're getting, just on a simple inflation of 3% inflation. But if things increase, inflation increases, then we're going to be seeing a loss of 20%. Now, there's no incentive at the moment for organizations like Aetna to increase their fees. Why shouldn't they? Everybody's still a member. No one's leaving. Why should they give the doctors and the practices more money? What for? They can just make more money. They can raise their fees a little bit. They keep more to the bottom line. They don't have to give as much to the physicians. But the real question is, in light of that, what can you do or what should you do? It also says that you cannot afford to do nothing. You have to think about negotiating with payers, because if you don't, the practices will continue to lose money, or maybe not lose money, won't make as much. The physicians become very unhappy when they don't make as much. I mean, I know physicians, I know cardiology practice I work with in New Jersey, and all they want to know, and orthopedic practice in New York, all they want to know is how much money are we going to make this year? I mean, that was the bottom line. Everything else was, they'll leave to the office manager, they'll leave to the staff, let them take care of all that. But how much money are we going to make? So that becomes very important to everybody. Well, the key is, do you understand your current situation? That becomes very important. So how do you do that? How do you understand your current situation? First thing is if you took the top 20 CPT codes used by all payers, and you made a chart straight across each CPT code. What are you getting? What are you getting in terms of reimbursement for each of those CPT codes by each payer? Each payer. And you'll see that there are differences. Sometimes dramatic differences, sometimes not. You also have to compare those results to Medicare, because Medicare is kind of the bellwether, the base for a lot of people reimbursed based on Medicare. And of course, pediatrics, no one cares about Medicare, but other than that, pretty much everybody has to deal with Medicare in the shape or form. And what we're seeing is that you should assume that most of the payers, or you should be getting from the other payers, a higher level of reimbursement than Medicare. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. Not always the case. Again, going back to Aetna, Aetna's fees tend to be lower than Medicare. By how much? Well, anywhere between 10 and 25% lower than Medicare. It depends.